me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the fast.
What's going on, guys? We're here with the EAMG Sports Locker Room Talk. Today we have our special guest, TD Ayo-Durojaiye, to talk about his process to the pre-draft, everything involved from the mental, the training, the physical, all that goes into it as he prepares for his pro day to eventually hear his name called on draft day and get a chance to compete at the NFL. TD, how's the process been?
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for having me. Thanks for this platform. Thanks for this time. Once again, my name is TD Ayo-Durojaiye. Going through this pre-draft process. I'm training with Perform here in Navy, Florida. I'm super excited to be here. Obviously, this is a dream come true for me to chase my goal of being in the NFL. And obviously, it's been a long road, but, kind of just being through this process, it kind of takes you back to why you really love the game and, why you're doing this. And, I've enjoyed every bit of it. I've learned a lot about myself, and I'm excited for what the future holds.
All right. Well, for those of you who aren't familiar, tell me a little bit about your football journey. I know you played at Villanova, had some ups and downs over there, but tell me about your time over there and how you ended up here today.
Yeah, man. Villanova was obviously one of a few schools to offer me a scholarship out of high school. And I don't know, it has a special place in my heart. Obviously, things didn't go the way I dreamed it would go for my 5 seasons there, but I learned a lot about myself. I learned about, the game. I learned about being a leader. I learned about what a good teammate is and, what that means and how that can lead to a successful program. And, I've seen us go from 6-5 to, winning a conference championship the next year and, what that took as well. So, I definitely learned a lot about not only football and, the team aspect of the game, but myself as well.
So throughout this process, you've been documenting it in the Nightmare Knowledge series. You just wrapped up episode 5. For those who are interested and want to learn more about your journey, what can they expect to hear in the Nightmare Knowledge series?
Yeah, so obviously Nightmare Knowledge is my podcast. I've been doing it for about 4 years now. And, what you can expect to hear is obviously how I'm doing, the things I think I need to work on, how the process has been for me, what the environment is like being, with the guys that I'm with every day. Some guys know they're going to get drafted. Some guys are in my position and, it's kind of up in the air. And, it's kind of interesting seeing how we're all fighting for the same thing, but we're all kind of working collectively together towards the same goal. But, it's definitely interesting with the relationships that I'm building and, the things that I'm learning about, this process and myself as well. But, that's kind of what you're going to hear on the podcast.
One thing I like when I was listening to it is that you're so humble about the process and you're so appreciative to be working with guys who are projected first-round picks, day 2, day 3. And I think you mentioned something. You're all at the same table, but you all have different plates. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying, how we're all just trying to eat. And so tell me a little bit about who you're working with in that process and what it means to you coming from Villanova, a smaller school, being able to showcase your skills and compete against some of the best athletes coming out in college football this year.
Yeah, man, training with Perform. You see them right here.
See 'em.
I think they're one of the best. I found out about Nick Hicks and everything he's doing, through social media. Saw J.K. Dobbins run him over in the drill. It was like, dang, being a Ravens fan, watching J.K. all the time. Obviously training at that level is important. And, I got to work out in with him. And, once I found out he was doing pre-draft training, I didn't want to miss the opportunity to do it. Being from a smaller school, you can definitely be intimidated by guys that, are going in the first round, guys that are, going to be multimillionaires and, impact players from day one. And, my mindset has never changed. My chip has never gotten stale. It's still about, enjoying the process and, working each day towards your goal. And, that's something I've been doing my whole life. And I don't plan on changing that now.
So you mentioned Perform, and this is our second year working with them. They're great over there, and Nick Hicks is leading the charge along with Zach Cardell, great guys. You mentioned the J.K. Dobbins running over Zach or running over Nick. When you see that, that isn't necessarily how draft prep goes. I'm sure there's a lot more into it. Can you tell me a little bit about what the day-to-day looks like when you're prepping for your pro day? Because now you're not only a football player, you also need to become a track star.
Yeah, I would definitely emphasize the track star part. Running is something that, I thought I had a good, concept on. I thought I knew how to do it at a high level. And then obviously I get here and I start to prepare to run a 40. And, it's completely different. It's not enough just to be fast. You have to have a race plan. You have to understand how you're going to get from 0 to 60 as fast as possible. It's a very short race. And, focusing more on technique. Everybody at this level is gifted. Everybody at this level has talent. But, the people that, take the coaching the best and, look at this process and, kind of follow it each and every day because it's hard. I mean, you work out 6 days a week, whether it's a run or a lift, and we have recovery every day, but it starts to add up, throughout the week and over the course of 8 weeks as well. So, all that stuff is meant to help you out, and if you take advantage of it, you'll see the results.
All right. Well, I'm curious. You're going from a football player to a track star. You mentioned you're trying to explode every day. It's very taxing on the body. For you, what have been the 3 easiest parts and the 3 hardest parts during this process?
I'll start with the easy part. I mean, I think the weight room, just because, I've been trained really well by, my trainers at home and at Villanova. So, the lifting part hasn't been very hard. The position work, I would also say it's pretty easy. Drills are drills. And kind of like the plyo stuff. I always like doing jumps and all those types of things. But I would say the hardest part, working on my start, that was something I was probably on my own case about that for probably about 3 weeks. I'm trying to get that fine tuned. My short shuttle, I wasn't really happy with the way I was doing that at first as well. And, just my times, my day-to-day times on things when we were testing, those were kind of the ugly portions of, the process early on. And, I've gotten over those growing pains. I've started to gain some confidence, and now it's just about executing at a consistent level.
So we've been working together for a couple months now. Let's tell the people kind of how this developed. So from my perspective, we have our EAMG scouting department, recruiting department. They send me a bunch of names for guys who would be attending CGS, the College Gridiron Showcase. And going into that, they saw that you were attending, sent me your film. I checked out your film, instantly liked it. What I liked the most was the versatility at running back to come out of the backfield, make plays, catch the ball at receiver, and then, of course, the special team stuff, which you excel at. Then when I saw you at CGS, I think I talked to you before I even saw you on the field the first day. Do you recall it going like that?
Yeah, I remember that. I probably in between one of the breaks you had on all the beats. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the you and then your offensive lineman both wearing the Villanova beat. And I was like, oh man, I recognize him. Watched this film last night. I got to talk to the kid. And I actually think Zach Ever was with us that day, and we both watched the film together. And so when I saw you, he kind of also gave me a nudge. He said, "You got to go talk to the kid." Glad I did, because here we are today. Right. So after that, got to see you on the field doing your thing. One-on-ones. I think you won every rep, at least when it comes to the wide receiver or the running back, linebacker coverage drills. And then I thought you did pretty solid digging your feet into the ground when it comes to the running back, linebacker, pass block. How'd you feel about CGS and your performance out there?
Yeah, obviously, CGS was a good opportunity for me. It's something that kind of came a little bit later, but, sometimes delayed gratification is good. A lot can reap out of that. You can reap a lot of benefits out of that. And, like you said, I felt like I performed well that weekend, talked to a good amount of teams, a handful of teams. And, it's just an opportunity to, prove myself once again. Just kind of wanted to see where I stood versus the people that, are in this draft class with me, whether it's other running backs or, other players that, I had to compete for a spot against. But, I thought it was a successful weekend.
Considering that you played at Villanova and then you go to the CGS where you have everybody who had a pretty damn good season competing next to each other, when did you start to feel like, okay, I can compete with these guys and I am as good as I think I am and I'm showing it?
Yeah, so I thought, in the drill work early during the warm-up, I kind of felt everybody getting tired around me doing the drill work. We were just going back and forth doing a handful of running back drills. These are drills I've done, hundreds of times, whether it was on my own or with my trainers at home or while I was at Villanova. And I just felt comfortable. I never felt uncomfortable. I never felt intimidated by, any of the people that were there, whether they came from a school as big as mine or a school even bigger. So I just, try to focus on myself and, compete with myself. But, I did kind of feel pretty comfortable. And, when it comes to linebackers, I don't feel like any linebacker can cover me. So I'm trying to do my best to live up to that every time I get out there.
And the film shows that. So again, from my perspective, I talked to you a little bit in the beginning, trying to bring value, trying to show that I'm interested and wanted to work with you. So I told you I was going to talk to scouts while you were out there performing. You go ahead, do your reps. I'm chirping in the scouts here. You kind of made my job easy. You're cooking the guy off the line. And I'm telling him, hey, watch. I forget what number you wore, but watch the Villanova hat. And sure enough, you make the play. They write down, look at me, give me a smirk. And then from there, start putting your name on radars. And then how many interviews did you have coming out of CGS?
Probably about 12 or 13 interviews. Yeah, total. Talked to about 12 to 13 teams. So had an interview or two with a couple teams too. So.
Well, how nerve-wracking is that process for anyone who is kind of going to head into this similar position as you? How do you prepare for an NFL interview, and what can you expect?
Kind of just, expect the unexpected. You never know what they're going to ask you, but, you got to be confident no matter what you say. A lot of times, maybe not in my case during that time, but a lot of times they already know what they know about you. They're just trying to either get confirmations and answers or maybe throw you a curveball. And sometimes you got to, respond in adversity. And, sometimes a question will throw you off, but kind of just be confident. First impressions are really good. So you want people to, kind of see who you are with the way you talk, even if you say the wrong thing. But if you're confident in who you are as a person and you're concise and to the point, that carries a lot of weight to it.
Well, from the teams that you told me you talked to for NFL interviews, I went ahead, did my research, followed up with those teams, and it seemed pretty consistent. The verdict was this kid loves football. Now, you mentioned that they're going to throw you some curveballs. Can you give me one curveball? Can you tell the people what is one question you did not expect the NFL to ask you, and they did it anyways?
So somebody kind of warned me about this question going in, but they said, are you a dog or are you a cat? So that's a very simple question, but obviously you're talking to NFL GM, you're talking to NFL scout. You want to think a little more deeply about what that question means, but the answer is always a dog. If you ask you if you're a dog or a cat, you're always a dog. You're loud.
It sounds kind of like common sense. In a game like football where you have to have that dog mentality, you don't want to be the only cat right around.
Yeah, you want to be a dog. Always.
Correct. So fast forwarding after CGS, we started talking a little bit more. You had your agent discussions. I managed to somehow squeak out in the race. Thank the Lord. And then you managed to come down here to South Florida, and now you're training at Perform. Was it the video of Nick? What were some guys that really made you want to come down to Perform and train in South Florida?
Yeah, man. Obviously, playing a running back position, you want to follow the footsteps of guys that are, doing the right thing. Devin Singletary, Dalvin Cook, James Cook. Those are guys that I kind of look to try to model my game after, especially Dalvin and his brother. I think they bring a lot of things to the table that, I also do as well. Obviously just seeing that there was an NFL, kind of pedigree with, the training that Nick was doing and, Perform, obviously, their page and, their athletes kind of speak for themselves. And, I kind of wanted to be a part of that. If you want to be amongst the elites, if you consider yourself elite, you got to put yourself in a position to be around elite people. So, that's what it came down to for me when I came down here.
Okay. Well, since you're training down here, I'm local, South Florida. I've had an opportunity to come out. And it's interesting because the first time I came out, you actually ran a 40. You didn't love your number. And I talked about the mental aspect and how you can get down on yourself. But it's been a couple of weeks since then. And now I talked to you and you said, yeah, I'm really working on the smaller techniques, fine-tuning my running. Things are looking up for me. So tell me about the mental aspect and how you felt from when you first ran your baseline 40 to where you are now.
For me, if you know me, I'm always going to be hard on myself. I'm always trying to, be the best all the time, regardless of the circumstance. So whether it was my first day out there or it's week 3, I always try to find myself, amongst the top of the people out there. But, it's definitely hard at the beginning. You have an idea of what you think you should run. And, they always say that the lanes will humble you. And it definitely did. I wasn't really happy with my first 40, but, I knew that it was going to be a process. I'm new type of training. It's my first time in this environment. And, just kind of just soaking it all in and enjoying the moment and, taking the coaching. These guys, I came here for a reason. I trusted them. I trust the body of work that they have. And, just continue to believe in the technique and believe in myself, day by day, week by week, I started to see, the results that I wanted to see. And, that just is a testament to the support that I have around me, whether it's Nick and Perform, the guys I'm working with, my agent, my family. Everybody knew that this process was not going to be easy. If it was easy, anybody would, try, join the NFL at any given time. But, I've enjoyed every part of it. And, I've learned a lot about myself as well. So, obviously the mental game is huge. You can never get down on yourself. Always challenge yourself to be better, but you got to understand that, you just try to get 1% better every day. Anything else is extra. You just move the needle a little bit over time. It's gonna make it pay dividends.
So you're training, you're working out, you're more than just a football player. What can we tell the people about who TD is off the field? What are your hobbies?
Yeah, man. So, as you know, I'm Nightmare, aka Nigerian Nightmare, if you don't know that already. I try to wear as many hats as time permits me to, but in my free time, I like to be on my podcast called Nightmare Knowledge on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, also on YouTube. And I also make workout programs and meal plans for friends and family at home or people that are interested. I have a fitness page called Body by Nightmare. As active as I can be on there, but I'm always trying to, get more clients and, get more people motivated to work out. I think it's an important thing to have in your life. And, for me, it's been an important thing in my life. Working out is, synonymous with a lot of the stuff that I'm doing to prepare to be in the NFL. And, obviously the podcast gives me, an outlet for my mental. I get to kind of dump how I feel, mentally and, how the world around me is making me feel. And, that's been a good release for me over the last couple of years. So.
Okay. Clearly, we got the Body Mind Nightmare going. Tell us, how does this happen? How much food are we eating on the daily? How many times are we training?
Yeah, so when I figured out that I needed to kind of like gain weight and do what I needed to do to become an athlete, I probably ate around 5-6 meals a day, starting at the age of 13. So I've kind of just been continuing that, over the course of, probably 9 years now. So try about 3,000-4,000 calories a day. I'm pushing about 5 meals a day right now. But, it's obviously a lot of extra work that I put in the weight room and a little bit of genetics. I thank my parents and, the Nigerian culture and the Nigerian cuisine, of course, for a lot of what you see here. So.
Okay. Well, tell me a little bit. So we talked about diet. You're eating 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day. I know right now you have the Fit Fix and chefing it up for you. Shout out to them for the pre-draft sprint. But what is the typical Nigerian cuisine for you when you're not training?
Yeah, so obviously I'm a big home cooked meal guy. I love going home for a home cooked Nigerian meal. Nigerian meal, you always have your grain. There's a bunch of different grains that you kind of put in the hot water and mix. Some people call it fufu. We call it in Nigeria where I'm from, call it by the actual name of each dish. And, that grain becomes a solid that you then either with your hands or with a fork, you can break down. And you usually eat it with, a sauce, a stew of some sort. And you'll have a meat, whether it's turkey, goat, chicken, catfish. You eat a bunch of different stuff. And then you'll have your vegetable, some sort of vegetable medley, whether it's spinach or kale, spiced up. You kind of just eat it all together. And it's very dense food. It's very hard to eat Nigerian food without being full. I would say that's the most amazing thing is that the food is filling. So when I was in high school, those mini meals would add up. But I could probably eat about 2 of those Nigerian meals and be full for the whole day.
Okay. Well, tell for people who are a little bit younger, trying to follow in your footsteps, do you have any diet or nutrition tips for running backs trying to be agile, put on size, speed, whatever it is, just nutrition tips for the next class?
Yeah, so a lot for you guys is, eat as much color. You want as much color on your plate as possible. If you have color, that means you're touching most, if not all the food groups. Carbs are really important for young kids. I always, stress on carbs. Without carbs, your engine won't run. So just continue to produce carbs. If you're trying to gain muscle, protein. And, you gotta eat, you gotta work out too. You can't just eat and just let it just sit. So if you don't have a gym, you don't work out, I don't advise lifting until, you get to high school probably. So just push-ups and sit-ups every day. In middle school, I was doing 2,000 push-ups a day and 2,000 sit-ups. And I was doing that every other day. So, that's kind of how I worked my body until I was able to work weights. So, that's probably what I would encourage the young generation. You don't want to stunt your growth or, have anything happen by lifting too much weight too early. So push-ups and sit-ups have never done anybody wrong.
I want to talk about nutrition a little bit more, maybe even just for my benefit. We mentioned carbs. Not when I think of like a well-balanced meal, I'm trying to get my proteins, my starches, and a vegetable. What are your favorite and go-to carbs?
Carbs, I love pasta. It's a carb. I think pasta is very versatile. There's so many different pasta dishes. There's so much you can do with it. So many proteins you can add with it. So I definitely start with pasta as my carb. Starch-wise, rice is a good starch and a good carb as well. You could always do rice if you want to hit both. Protein, you want your chicken, your steak, your beef. You could do, I like salmon a lot. You have your fish, whatever type of fish you have tilapia. So, it depends on what you like. Some people don't like seafood, so some people, chicken is fine, but chicken is very versatile. You season it as many different ways you want. There are different cultures and different countries that have their certain types of seasoning. There's African culture, there's Asian culture, there's Hispanic culture, and then there's just normal salt and pepper. Some people, that's all they need. So you can do a lot with chicken, you can do a lot with steak. And I love pork chops. One of my boys makes pork chops. Yeah, I mean, that's my carb, that's my starch, and that's my protein.
From your perspective, are there any foods that you think young athletes should stay away from? Obviously, junk food and sweets, but one thing you think is not providing as much for Jen?
Anything with like added colors or, anything that's processed, any dyes, those dyes are actually pretty detrimental to your health in the long term. That's something that I figured out in my health journey as well. Not me personally, but just hearing from other people as well. But, try to avoid any food dyes when you can. Super processed food, raw food. You want to eat stuff that's good for you. You want to eat stuff that's, especially with meat, grass-fed meat. You don't want to eat stuff where people are, eating formula, eating chemicals, pesticides, anything like that. Your body's a temple, so you have to protect it.
All right, folks. That concludes this episode of Locker Room Talk with the AMG Sports and our special guest, TD Ayo-Durojaiye. Keep an eye out for him on Sundays as he'll be making plays. Any last words for our viewers?
Yeah, just, something I always like to leave with is, just continue to pursue your dreams to the highest level. Just believe in the process and the day-to-day. Even me, myself, I'm very ambitious. I'm not very patient either. I like to see results very fast because I like to think that my hard work, makes me deserve faster results. But at the end of the day, nobody deserves anything. But each and every day you can wake up and make a concerted effort to better yourself in one small way. And, hopefully you can continue to build on that and you'll reach your goal one day. But, never give up on yourself and just try to beat the person that you were yesterday. And if you keep that in mind, you're going to go far. And, just continue to believe in yourself. And, there's always somebody else that believes in you too. For me, it's my agent, it's my parents, and it's my girlfriend, it's a bunch of people, my former teammates. And, take that support and that why, whatever your why is, and, allow it to propel you to the future that you want to have. And with that being said, it's your boy Nightmare. I appreciate my man Daniel for bringing me on, and you'll be seeing more of me soon. But until then, catch y'all later.
Cool.